The Other Side of the River focuses on two towns just on the edge of Lake Michigan, St. Joseph and Benton Harbor, split by the St. Joseph River. St. Joseph is a prosperous, predominantly white community, while Benton Harbor is a poor, predominantly black community. The two towns never had much in common other than the river, so when the body of Eric McGinnis, a black teen, was found floating on the St. Joseph side of the river, racial tensions between the two towns heightened. The story is told from Alex Kotlowitz's point of view, based on his own investigations to uncover the truth behind Eric McGinnis' death. Throughout this video, students Elaine and Brooke discuss how racism exists in the book, our country, and how it impacts various aspects of our lives.
So the problem identified by this book is ultimately centered around racism in these two sister towns. Racism can clearly be seen through the differing perspectives of the people on either side of the river regarding the death of Eric McGinnis. Kotlowitz remarks that the people of Benton Harbor, young and old, liberal and conservative, whether they had been personally acquainted with Eric or not, were convinced not only that he had been murdered, but that he had been murdered by a white person. So right off the bat, Kotlowitz emphasizes how race plays a prominent role in figuring out the truth behind McGinnis' death and how it affects the perspectives of the people he interviews. And he ultimately compares it to the views of the people in St. Joseph who believe that McGinnis' death was his own fault. Kotlowitz also brings up another death that took place about 1.5 years before Eric McGinnis. In this old case, Norris Mabin, a black teen, was shot by Marv Feidler, an old white cop trying to catch a thief. The cop mistook Mabin for the real culprit and, thinking that Mabin was reaching for a gun, shot the boy. However, Mabin's dead body was found to only be carrying a set of keys. So this whole case heightened the tensions between the two towns, with people blaming the shooting on either self-defense or racism. And Kotlowitz's mention of this case emphasizes how the disagreements from prejudice based on skin color is a problem. It is also important to note how Kotlowitz takes a neutral stance in the investigation and reports of these two black boys' death. He did not take a certain side, but rather use the varying perspectives to address how race can play a role in causing disputes between people. So racism still exists in our country in schools, in workplaces, and in neighborhoods. According to the Los Angeles Times, blacks are far more likely, at 71%, to say they have personally experienced discrimination in their lives, yet only 3 in 10 whites also say they have been treated differently because of their race. On the other hand, when asked if their race has made life harder, 40% of blacks said it had, while only 5% of white people said it had for them. People are still facing unjust treatment simply based on their skin color, but is often more geared towards those who aren't white. There are so many different examples of this, like unjust wages in the workforce, or unfair treatment from classmates, or movement of neighbors in the name of safety. And this discrimination is often based on preconceived notions that people have about others, either based on what they learn when they're young, or based on the simple fact that the others look physically different.
Racism is difficult to address because racism is a concept, and it is such an abstract concept. Because there are so many people with so many different perspectives in our world, each person's experience is so unique and personal to their racial identity. Even two people of the same race can experience their racial identity differently. 1 in 10 of the 2020 census respondents said they identified as more than one race, further complicating the racial landscape of our country. In more recent years, we have worked towards ending the racism our ancestors held. The Black Lives Matter movement is one of those things. Even though the movement started as a hashtag in 2013, it has become a widespread sensation. The movement has included protests for harsher punishment when black people are wrongfully killed. Within the last year, their name has been all over the news due to the murder of George Floyd. The movement took to the streets, and the marches and protests started. BLM has made lots of headway to their goal of making sure black people keep their natural rights. Another step America has taken is the House of Representatives passing an anti-lynching bill. If this bill is passed through Congress, then lynching will become a federal hate crime. Many black people have been lynched, and many have never gotten justice. If this bill is passed, then many cases of lynching could be opened again, and many could get justice for the deaths of their loved ones. Even though many people still believe in older ways, there are still people in the world trying to change it, and they are slowly taking steps to abolish racism in America.
Despite all these efforts to fight racism in our country, it still continues to be a problem, separating neighborhoods and causing subconscious fear. Ultimately, Only the increased awareness of this problem will help lessen the prejudice and racism against others.